Hey guys, welcome to the Lean by Doing podcast. And today I have two very special guests. They came all the way from New Jersey. I met them through JCR Off-Road, which is our Jeep company. They have a shop that does installations, and they also did some wholesaling at one point. But they're not here for Jeep parts. They're actually here because they came on a Lean tour today. I figured it'd be a good time to sit them down and ask them some questions about what they saw, what their struggles are, and how they can move forward with Lean. So without further ado, I introduce you to Mike and Mike. Hey guys, welcome.
Hey Brian, thanks for having us. Yeah.
So if you don't mind, if you guys could give us a little more information about who you are and what you do than what I did.
Absolutely. So Mike and I started working together in 2006. We were both in between big career changes, and we first we had a used car lot. It turns out we are awful used car salespeople, and we wanted to focus on what we love, and we started Globex Performance. We had brought some experience from the first business into the second, found out that what we learned there was what we did not want to do. Mm-hmm. Decided to just do what we want to do. We want to help people take their Jeeps and build it to what they want, what their dream, their vision. So it can support their hobbies. Some people use them for overlanding, camping, rock crawling. We'll take their stock Jeep and turn it into their dream Jeep. And so we've been doing that. Started that in 2009. So we're just past 15 years, and we've been struggling with growth, and came out to visit, learn about Lean, and it's been great seeing a lot of the systems having put them in place. We've gotten a lot out of the trip today.
So thank you for that. Thank you for coming as well. Yeah. You've never been here, even when we were selling Jeep parts to you.
Yeah, we've never made the trip.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see you guys here, but from a different aspect. The reason that we kind of linked up is, Mike, you created a Facebook group.
Yep.
For business-minded people.
Yeah, entrepreneurs and.
Yeah, it's called Find My Way.
Yep.
And I got an invite into this group, and I thought, I really want to be a part of that if I can in any way. How has that transformed? Is it doing what you hoped it would do?
So I didn't really know what I wanted out of that. I just kind of assumed that, I was having a hard time in business, and I was hoping to see if maybe other people are also struggling, and just kind of create a community that, just see where everyone's struggles are and how people look at problems and how they solve problems. And I think out of all of this, ironically, meeting you ended up changing my view on a very large majority of my business.
It's really kind of funny that I came into this group, and the week before you invited me into it, I was on vacation, and I was like, I'm going to put some real effort in this, and I'm going to try to offer some insight that's different. Because everybody wants to complain about their customers and be like, the customer's the worst, and they're unreasonable, and they're all this stuff. And I was there months ago. I was there, and now I have this very different perspective where without the customer, we have nothing. And so why do we want to run a customer away if we have nothing?
Oh yeah.
And so I really wanted to just kind of get into that with you guys, and here I was with a live video. like a 2-minute intro video in a Facebook chat that no one has seen. But that's like commonplace in Lean, especially in all the Lean Facebook groups WhatsApp groups and Signal groups. It's pretty common. You have to make an introduction. So I made an introduction.
Yeah, that was pretty different. It was definitely different, but it was really good. The couple of messages we shared back and forth, and that customer one, I probably listened to that, no joke, like 8 or 9 times before I replied back. Because that was like one of the most insightful things I've heard in my journey here. Like that changed a lot of how I viewed what the customer was. Mm-hmm. So I think that post that day was really about a problem customer from one of our other members. And that was such an interesting way of seeing things. I was really, really impressed.
Yeah, just to kind of fill you guys in, basically somebody was asking about how to deal with hard customers. And I kind of came in with a very different perspective where I basically said, well, why aren't we seeing what the customer's asking and trying to meet them with their needs? If a customer's saying, I want faster lead times and I want it to be cheaper, then why aren't we actively trying to make it cheaper and faster? Instead, we want to bitch and moan about all the things we can't do. Oh, well, we can't do that, or we can't do this. And instead, the customer who has the dollars in their pockets, they're not investing in us at all. And I feel like we just had this backwards, and we need to be looking at what the customer is giving us, the pull for what a customer wants, and then trying to meet that pull. Because if we don't meet the pull, then we have no customers, we have no money, we have no employees. There's nobody to pay for anything. You know what I mean? We don't sit in a studio like this without a customer helping to support this. So anyways, thank you guys again for coming. And we just did a tour. We walked through the entire operation. You guys asked a lot of questions. You filled up your camera rolls. What are some of the things that you guys really stood out to you?
For me, it was the way, I never viewed flow the way you guys view it, where like, it starts at one spot and just like evenly just moves through the entire shop. And mine is very cluttered and it doesn't do that. And I never really realized how important that was, but like seeing the way you do it just makes sense. Like it's a very logical way of doing things. It's surprising that it took me this long to see that, but I was really, really impressed with that.
That's really crazy you say that. We live it every day. So to us, it feels like it's not flowing, but I can see where your perspective is different than mine seeing it.
Yeah.
I've done some other tours and no one's ever said that my stuff is flowing. So I think we're finally moving in the direction that we want to move to kind of, move it forward. So were there any other things that stood out that you really liked?
For me, I liked how empowered in the morning meeting, how empowered most of the employees seem to be, that they're in control of their workspace. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's something we've always been open to, but haven't created the culture to pull that information out, where I think a lot of times our employees are scared to come to us with an idea because, well, that's not how Mike wants it done. And we have to quash that. That's something I've learned.
Yeah.
That culture, the structure of the morning meeting, mm-hmm. and the positivity mm-hmm. I'm seeing out of everybody. Mm-hmm. It shows that everybody's on board. I know what it can be like bringing in a new system. Not everybody is going to be on board right away all the time, but to see where you are 6 months in,
yeah,
incredible.
So you guys also have a pretty good culture. We created a pretty good culture. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we're doing like a passion project. Like we're building parts for something that we enjoy as a hobby, and a lot of us are enthusiasts. A lot of our employees are enthusiasts. So it's really easy to have, I guess, more excitement to come to work than you would if you were building, I don't know, hardwood flooring.
Absolutely. Even just all of our technicians, we're more service than manufacturing. Mm-hmm. Most of our technicians are car enthusiasts. I think all of them. Yeah. And everyone has come to me and said some variation of, I could be somewhere doing timing belts on Camrys and Accords. Yeah. And I get to build cool shit every day. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to hear. Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys do to take it from here? Like you saw what my culture looks like compared to what your culture looks like. How does it differ, I guess? What's the big difference?
Right now, I think that only probably 80% of my team is really on board with this. So I'm going to go back and really push the culture change mm-hmm. all the way through and get everybody on board. The morning meeting thing, I really wasn't sure how to do that. I didn't know what it really looked like, but seeing the way you did it, it's inspiring. I'm definitely going to implement that every day.
It seems harder. I can admit this as well. When the first time I did morning meetings, I had no idea what we were doing. We didn't do stretches initially. We did stretches today. I thought stretching was weird, so it was not something that I was like, I want to do this. It was actually Morgan who implemented stretching when she first got to hosting her first meeting, and then everybody is just taking to it at this point. So, but I thought that was like a weird thing where people were going to be like standing around and stretching, and it was awkward, but it really wasn't all that awkward. Have you guys ever had a morning meeting? Have you ever had a full company meeting?
When there's problems, usually is when that comes up, and that mm-hmm. leads, which is fine. That's what you need to do when there's a problem, but then it associates a meeting with problem.
Yeah,
and we need to get past that.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, you said you had some struggles, and what are some of your biggest struggles that you're hoping to change when you switch to a lean approach?
Yeah. I think we look at this from two different sides. It's just the way that we kind of divide our tasks, our responsibilities. You deal with more the day-to-day personnel, the workflow type issues, operations, whereas I do more purchasing and inventory. So for us, it's getting everything on Kanbans, setting reorder points, and all of that is going to offload purchasing. Where I wear a lot of hats at the shop. We're smaller. There's 9 of us, so I do all of our purchasing and inventory and all of that, and everything is it's stored up here. I know where we get everything. I know what pricing should be. I know how often we need to reorder, and I realized how much of my bandwidth is taken up by that. So why not just? I've never wanted to make that investment into the system. It's a time investment, but to do it once and then not have to think about it and just let the system do its thing, that's huge for me to free up 10-15% of my time.
What my favorite example of that is when the service writers need to sell a radiator job. They sell a gallon of coolant, but the techs don't use a gallon of coolant, and they use half of that. And now we suddenly have I walk up and there's 5 half-filled coolant bottles just laying on the floor. I'm like, why is there so many half-used coolant bottles? And it's because the service writers write a whole gallon of coolant, but we don't need to use a whole gallon of coolant. And it's just terrible waste the whole way through. And it's that is a prime example of problems that we have at the shop. And it's just the communication and the Kanban's going to fix that so much better.
Yeah, and everybody comes on a lean tour. The first thing they do is they pull out their phone and they say, "Can I take pictures?" And then they take pictures of all these tools in lean, whether it's Kanban or whether it's a 2-bin or whether it's dividers and bins. It could be the toppers for the Kanban pole, on and on, right? Tables, layouts, everything. It's all super cool and fun. But the thing that you don't necessarily see when you first go through is the culture that backs it up. And so you can add Kanban. It's a great tool. You can add it. But if you don't have the culture, which we've talked about, to actually maintain the order of it, you're going to end up with missing Kanban cards. You're going to end up with people taking the inventory and not pulling the Kanban card. So there's some training that has to go in with that. That's where your morning meetings can really come into play, where you can actually do some of that training in the morning meetings to start the process. As we talked about, was trying to show everybody the why. Why are we doing this? Why does it matter? And why would we want to continue forward down this path?
Yeah, it's definitely a process, right?
Yeah.
Culture change is not a simple thing. It takes time. We're pretty lucky that most of my team, we're small enough that most of my team they're okay pivoting. I have a couple guys that are really a little tricky, but they get it. At least my high up guys right now currently get it. They see the value in it, but yeah, it's going to take a little time to change the culture. I get that. We've been culture changing now probably for the past, what would you say, 2 years?
2 years. But we didn't have a roadmap.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Lean provides for us. Is what surprised me. I'm a little bit newer than either of you. Is how within Lean are many of the tasks or many of the things we've been trying to do and just didn't have the instructions on how. We had the right instincts. We didn't have the roadmap.
Yep. Yeah. And going forward now, you have to really get into the meat and potatoes of it. You can read 2-Second Lean, you can read all these other lean books, and then you have to start engaging your team, right? You have to start implementing some of this stuff. And if you go into it and just start implementing stuff around them, it doesn't work as much as it does as if you could just get in with them right away. One of my biggest mistakes early on has been not realizing the power of a group. And I've really focused on trying to bring people together to discuss projects or problems or whatever it may be. You guys might still have the instincts to want to just do it between the two of you, but I would encourage you to include more members of your team, because they're going to have so many ideas that you don't have that will change everything for you. And if I would have done that sooner, I think I would be a little further than I am right now, but it just didn't work out that way. I know that you guys had on the tour, you had lots of questions, and there were so many things that you could take away from it. Is there anything in particular you thought that this particular tool, besides let's say not Kanban, and you guys focused a lot on SOPs, right?
Oh yeah.
And Mike, you asked a question about specificity of a tech and an SOP, and how to do that. If you don't mind bringing that question up again. the special skilled, high skilled.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Is if you're in a skilled position, something where someone off the street can't just come in, read an SOP, and complete a task. Whether it's specialized equipment, specialized skills, where you need a base knowledge. Has there been much either resistance from people in those skilled positions to an SOP telling them how to do their job, or do you just empower them by having them write the SOP, and then at that point are they just writing instructions for themselves where someone else can't come in? They may need more context than a single SOP to complete a task.
It really depends on how advanced that particular process is, whether or not you can have somebody straight off the street run the process. Or, like, for example, welding. If I have a welding department, they have to have some baseline understanding of MIG welding, because you're not laying out the instructions on how to MIG weld. You know what I mean? You're not doing a full technical diagram. However, if they have like basic welding skills, they should be able to come in, pick up the SOP, no matter how hard the product is. It should be put in a way that they can do it. So you were talking about an installation tech that was doing gear installations, and that's something it's not easy. It takes a lot of skill. Could they document it? Yes, they could document it. Could it also serve as a blind reference? No, there probably has to be some context. They maybe have had to been in a diff before. Otherwise, if they were never in a differential, then they don't even know what a spider gear is, or what a pinion shim is, none of that. But if they did have some basic reference, then they would be able to actually go in and create that or do that job based on that SOP. So you want to have your high guy create it in a way that somebody else could follow it if that ever became a situation. The power of documenting all this stuff, like you were saying earlier, you have to get yourself out of all these roles and all these hats. So if you want to take somebody and remove them from their role and put them in a different role, you have to document the role that they're in. So yeah, absolutely. You want to start from the base. I mean, you want to start with turning on machines, turning off machines. Then from there, you can start working on, okay, let's document how we do this process. It could be your purchasing process. It could be a machining process, right, on a mill. Just start. That's just the best way to go about that. Are there other struggles this year that you think that Lean's going to be able to help you with, or?
I actually had a good one because we talked the other day about how material purchase works. Because for us, it's right now we have to buy X amount of material bars to get, the pricing we need. And I wasn't sure how Lean really fit into that, like how those two blended together, because it could be tricky, right? Like, I mean, material pricing makes a huge difference, in the bottom line. And I wasn't sure how well that blended together. I really liked your idea.
Yep. So my idea was to actually issue a purchase order, maybe a 90-day purchase order, and agree to purchase this amount of product from this customer or from your vendor. And then at that point, you can get the pricing you want, but you don't have to take it all on your shop floor. And then as it could be weekly, you're pulling from that pool that you've agreed to buy. And a lot of times you can get a better price. You just don't want to take in 20 bars of something if it's going to sit there for 6 or 7 months, because it can create defects. It can create, that product could go out for you. The next thing you know, you have irrelevant parts to make a product that doesn't exist anymore, which in our field happens all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This was a great seller, but now it's not. So that's a really good one, and it's difficult.
There was one other thing, like on the tour. I don't mean to go backwards, but there was one thing on the tour that I really liked: the way you color code.
The visual control.
That was incredible. Like,
yeah.
Even all the way to the bars, where the bars are located, so like the red always matches the red. Mm-hmm. That was incredible. I wouldn't have never thought that, but like looking at it now, I will definitely use that in future stuff for myself.
Yeah, visual control is great and is a huge power. I gave you guys the example in the break room where I showed you how the picture on the door showed everything that was inside of the cabinet. And also we had tags that said paper plates, whatever, but you don't even read it. You're just looking at the picture. It's quick to understand. Now, when you start doing that in a work environment, that's when you start to really kind of dial in the waste, get rid of the waste. If someone doesn't have to look.
Oh yeah, they're not opening multiple camera or cabinet doors.
Yeah.
And
but then now you go out on the shop floor and now they're not opening different. drawers or cabinets or whatever to get the tools or the products they need or the supplies they may need. If you can get all that stuff together first,
and it doesn't take much effort. Take a photograph, print it out, tape it on the door. How long does that take?
It's kind of funny.
5
actually,
minutes?
It happened to me at lunch. Maybe we were in your office or whatever, but I got a phone call and my text like, "Hey, where do you keep your taps?" And I had to like walk him through where I keep my taps in my toolbox or whatever, our cart. And I was like, wow, it's just, that made sense. I was like, oh, I should just have a picture of where all the stuff is in my cart so like anybody can go in there and get what they need.
The one thing that I would just say is like make sure when you're doing visual control colors, you don't use red, green, or yellow, because red should mean stop, danger, defect, right? Yeah. Yellow should be caution, and green should mean go. So if you put green on something, it really needs to mean that this is good to go, this is going to work. And if you don't do that, then you start to get some confusion. So you want to build like a baseline understanding so that there's like a standard. Yeah. If that makes sense. We mess with this with signage. There's no like U.S. standard for signage. And we looked at the UK and they had all kinds of it. So we're going to go with the UK standard. That way, when you look up and you identify something, you know what it means. Blues and whites are safe. Reds, defect. Black and white and blue are often used for work in progress. Yellow is like you're safe to walk in. Yellow with a black stripe means there's a danger, right? So there's like a lot of things that you really have to think about when you're considering doing visual control or visual management. But visual control and visual management are game changers. They completely changed everything because we were looking at one of the bolt packs out there, a bolt pack rack, and it actually said steel, aluminum, tools, bolts, like down the side of the rack. And that was something new I hadn't seen. But it was really clear to say all the consumables for aluminum were on this shelf and all the consumables for steel were on this shelf. And I thought it was a really good one, that you don't necessarily think about.
It must feel good to walk out and see something that a member of your team has implemented like that and done well. And it must give you a sense of pride that, hey, this is catching on. These guys are on board and they're doing well with it.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun watching these guys grow internally. I guess I expect it of them because they're smart and they get it. It's just like sometimes they do something really well or a way that I wouldn't have thought of, and that's where you're like, wow, this is really cool. They thought of something that maybe I wouldn't have thought about, and that's kind of the real big power in that.
So let me ask you a question. Did you find when you started doing lean that you had more meetings, kind of get everybody up to speed and like on the same page? Do you find you had a lot of that, or less, or the same, or?
Wow, that's a really good question. I think the best way to sum this up would be I started by just a handful of people, and they were the ones that kind of like had interest initially, and I put all my time into them so that they could grow. And then from there, I encouraged them to pull other people in, and eventually we created like a Lean All Stars group, and then through a WhatsApp group, we just shared information in there, voice messages and videos and podcasts and books and all kinds of stuff, quotes from books. We shared it in there, and that's where we started to really get some traction. I wouldn't say that we had more meetings than normal. There were a lot more like standing meetings where you just like quickly, hey, what about this? You don't have to loop everybody in everything, but you could just have a main chat and you could put it all in a main chat. The hard part is when you go to like a WhatsApp and we're not used to using it, getting people on board with WhatsApp, right? Because do you have WhatsApp installed on your phone?
I order stuff from China.
Yeah, I mean, you have Signal on your phone, right? So you have to decide which one you're going to go with, and then you're going to have to talk these people into downloading stuff. Hey, I need you to put this on. I need you to put Signal on so you can talk in the work chat. They'll get it, but to go back to your original point, like it is really cool to see the progress that has been made, and I think that you guys will see similar progress. You have very similar culture, so I don't doubt that your guys are you're gonna unlock something that you didn't know was there.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited for it. I was telling him, I think I texted you over the weekend, that I haven't been this excited for something like it hasn't felt as right as this does. Like this just feels right. Like it feels right on my alley on things that I like. The way it's done, it's right on my alley. I'm really, really excited for this journey.
So as you leave here, what's your plan of attack?
Well, like I said, I'm going to start with the morning meetings. I'm going to, I'm really going to get my main, like my management teams, they're on board. They get it. They're into it. So I'm going to let hopefully we could like build upon that and let them spread out. We started fixing all of our bathrooms because our bathrooms are a mess, and I'm kind of hoping that like the team starts to see that benefit, and just little things, give them, they're all going to read 2-second lean. That's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
And just little improvements, and hopefully that'll just build upon that, and they'll see the benefits, and we can go from there. It's slightly daunting, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a big task. It's hard no matter what. Pick your hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Dieting's hard. Being fat's hard. Being skinny is hard. I mean, everything's hard. So just what is the hard? Lean is definitely hard work, but it makes work easier. And it's something that you have to really put the time and effort into in order to get the gains from it long term.
Yeah.
So you have to really like go for it. And you're gonna run into struggles with employees that you didn't know were going to be a problem. And you'll have to address those as they come up. And the idea is that if you can coach them along and you can teach them, one, how to have candor, and two, for them to understand that when you're coming to them with a true heart. You're not just criticizing them. So that's always the one thing is like, attack the process, not the people. It's a process problem. It's never a person problem. You always have a process problem. Getting people to understand that you're not attacking them and that you're not coming at them is like first and foremost.
I think that's tough though, right? Because like if you look at normal places that you're employed, like, that's how it works though, right? Like they attack you. You're always being attacked. You always feel like your job's on the line, and that's a real thing. And I think breaking that mold and like letting them know that it's okay, that you're safe, and nothing bad is going to happen by doing this. Yeah. It's not easy.
I think that's the place where we have an advantage, because I don't know what it is that we do that's so unique, but as long as we've had employees, for 15 years, I've had, constantly heard, I've never worked any place like this, never had this type of boss. And I think it might be that, I don't know about you, I don't consider myself a boss. We own the company. It's different responsibilities. That's not a credential. Mm-hmm. That just, it's simply that. It's just different responsibilities. But just because someone's the boss doesn't mean they're right.
Yeah, that's the big takeaway. You have to get the other people's opinion, and you have to take it and value it. Yeah. My big recommendation was when you start to make sure that you allow for them to make their improvements, even if the improvement is going to fail or it's dumb. What I always say is that the first idea may not be the best idea, but it's the most important idea because you start. And starting is the most important part. So if somebody comes up and they're like, look at this little tiny thing I did, you want to like praise them to high end. You don't want to be like, well, why would you do that? Because you're right-handed. So why would you put that on the left? You don't want to do that. You want them to learn from that. And then months and months down the road, when you start to create a better culture around this, you can actually start to be really like, critical is a terrible word, challenging. You can start to like try to challenge them. I said in the morning meeting this morning, we're not trying to be dicks, but we are trying to be challenging because we're trying to ratchet up our production goals. And we've made improvements. It's time to start to see some of those improvements have value. And if we just sit back and say, this is the way it's always going to be, and we're always only going to produce this amount, well, what's the point? The point is to gain traction, to create capacity, and to improve. And if we're not doing that, then we need to regroup and try something different. Now, we've seen a 20% increase in production just this week from the stuff that we finally said, all right, enough's enough. Let's buckle down and let's get to work. And that has been hugely beneficial for us. That's something you'll have to tackle when you get there.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited for the challenging thing. I like that because I think really good employees like to be challenged.
They do. Yeah,
I like to be challenged. Mm-hmm. I find that work is not very exciting, and I get bored fast if I'm not challenged.
Yeah, and
I think a lot of my team can relate to me on that. Mm-hmm. I don't really. I think most of the people that come in are up for a good challenge. They don't really. They may not be into the status quo thing. They like to be. Be pushed a little bit to be better. At least I hope they do.
You'll have to get behind your employees financially when it comes to these improvements. You have to give them some tools. So you're going to have to spend a little money on some of their ideas. And that can be a little nerve-wracking at times, if cash is tight or this or that. But, if you're going to buy a $20 set of magnets, is it really that big of a deal? Right. Or, whatever it may be. But you just got to start, and you just have to support them along the way, and just know that there'll be some people that don't come around initially or quickly. And then at that point, maybe you could have a harder conversation where you say, hey, you gotta get this sorted out, or we have a problem. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
that's just part of the nature of the beast, right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Like, not everybody is going to fit.
Yeah.
You know, cultures like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can't have the perfect person for every time. You're going to miss a couple of times here and there.
But honestly, if someone's resistant to it, they're telling you that they don't want to work in a place that operates like that. So they're firing themselves.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's something that we've made that very clear to people. If you can't show up to work on time, that's a you problem, not an us problem. And therefore, if you don't have a job, it's because you didn't come to work on time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not firing you, you're firing yourself. These are the rules. Yeah, you absolutely have to put that on them. Hey, you can choose to buy in, or you can choose to leave. Those are the options. It's hard, especially when you have 9 employees. You don't have as much wiggle room. When one employee is more than 10% of your income stream, yeah, that can be a little tricky.
So how important do you think accountability is in Lean?
Accountability is everything in Lean. If you don't have accountability, you don't have the people. They have to feel like I said earlier, like they have to bleed a little bit too. You know, when things are hard, they have to feel it. There has to be transparency where they know that, hey, things aren't great right now. We're battling soft sales. We're battling a tough economy. Our costs are too high. They need to understand it, because if they don't know, they could be living in La La Land and living the dream, and you guys are shouldering all the burden. When if they're aware, then maybe they would pick up their pace, or they would find a way to be more helpful. We talked about with you guys with service. You guys do service on vehicles, and sometimes if they miss, like if it's like say it's a 3-hour job, and next thing you know, it's 4.5 hours in and they're not done. Why? And you guys just accept it because it's the norm, but you can't.
You can speak to that better than I can.
So do you think that teamwork in situations like that help? Like have another, like if someone else is kind of already done with their job, just hop in and give them a hand and create a team environment like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, your number one priority should be trying to figure out how to get stuff to the customer, the highest quality you can at the lowest price. And billing somebody an extra hour and a half because your guy took an extra lunch, or he's working slow today because he had too much to drink last night, or he didn't have time to stop and get a Red Bull this morning. That's unfortunate, and you don't want to push that to your customer, but you also have to manage the throughput, because every square foot in your building costs money. And if that is not being productive, then you got to find a way to make it productive. Yeah. So yeah, I would encourage that. Yeah, if somebody else is available to help to move it along or keep it in line with the parameters of the job, yeah, absolutely. We've done a lot of that lately.
Do you think having some of the profit sharing programs, things like that, help generate that synergy, or synergistic work environment?
Well, I'm new to this. I just rolled this out.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I can really speak to it. I can just tell you from what I've read everywhere else. If you're asking somebody to improve your business, they should have some financial gain in it. Yeah. All right. So if we can cut down times and we can be more profitable as a company, then it would only make sense that they get to reap some of that benefit. So yes, I think it can work. There's plenty of places out there that have done profit sharing and it hasn't played out quite the way they want it, and they got to tweak it. But yeah, I mean, initially, yeah, I mean, they're coming to work every day. They're getting paid. They're agreeing to it. But now you're asking them to go a step further. And that buy-in is essentially what you're giving them with that profit share.
I guess it comes down to, what motivates people is, it's not always money.
Yeah.
I mean, it often is.
We talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
About because money doesn't motivate me. That's like not what makes me wake up and want to go do stuff. You know, but that's just me.
Yeah, money's a tool.
Yeah.
Everybody needs it,
Yep.
and everybody would like to have more of it. But it, like you said, it's not what you wake up for every single day. It's not like you roll out of bed and you're like, oh, I can't wait to go to work today so that I could have more money. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
It's just, you go to work to have camaraderie with people, to be part of a team, to feel productive. You'll see people that retire and then they just dwindle and die because they don't. And then you'll see the guy that's 70 years old and he's still working somewhere and he still looks like he's, in his 50s because he's never like fallen out of work. I think that you have to keep your mind working. So challenging your mind, I think, is the big one. Yeah, if you can challenge people. I have guys here that they'll say like, I like coming to work. It feels like a field trip.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's really incredible.
Like they look forward to it. And all weekend long, they're like texting and stuff about ideas and stuff. Because not everywhere do you get the autonomy to just create whatever you want. And that's something that Lean brings you.
So I've painted that picture to a couple of my guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, I could see the vision. It's really incredible. I always ask my guys, I'm like, what can I do to make work better? Do you hate coming to work? And if you hate coming to work, what makes you hate coming to work?
Yeah.
What can we change to make that experience better? Listen, work is work, right?
Yeah.
You're not always going to want to go to work. Mm-hmm. But if you can fix most of the problems within that, hopefully work could be a fun environment or, an engaging environment,
Yeah. Yeah, I think you guys have a lot ahead of you.
Me too.
I think that you guys are certainly equipped to do it. I think that you guys are going to do great. As somebody that's new to Lean, I can tell you guys, the community is wide open, and we all have our doors open, and we all want to help people like you do what we're doing, or even better than the way we're doing it.
Well, we'll definitely have to come back and revisit at 9-12 months.
Yeah.
And maybe you come out.
Yeah, I would
check out
love
our
to.
place.
Yeah.
And criticize us.
Yeah. So that's a perfect segue into the next part of this, and that is every time somebody does a Lean tour here, the things that Lean people like to know is what are areas that you saw that I could do better. And the reason that we ask this is because you guys have a different perspective. You're coming into it and you don't live in it every day. So we live in it every day, and there's a chance that we're missing stuff. So I'm going to ask you guys, what are things that I'm doing that I could do better?
I really only saw one, and listen, I know that you have to be fluid as you go through this, right? Because it's just an idea and you change. But like we said, when the first in, first out thing, and I was like, oh, maybe you should color code the numbers, like how many people need to be in the cell.
Yeah.
Because then it's just a visual cue, right? Everyone just knows you don't look for a number, maybe that's flipped over the wrong way, anything like that. It's just a color code, and they just know that way. I would imagine that could be a little better, but I'm trying to think what else I saw that could be kind of.
I'll give you the obvious one. We're still working on pallets on the ground.
Yeah.
We don't have carts. So that's something that we're trying to get to. I showed you the Minomi carts that we had.
Yeah.
Yes.
So to try to get to where we're not doing that, but that's a huge waste for us. We have so much waste in motion on those not having carts.
Oh yeah, and because then you need a forklift, pallet jack. You need other equipment. You need, the biggest hurdle I saw was that you're still working in two buildings. This is a restriction that I understand why you have it and what you're doing to fix it, but when weather can affect your process, or just traffic in a parking lot, but having to move product across a parking lot, that's tough. And I wouldn't say it's something you're doing wrong. It's something where I feel that's one of your struggles.
Yeah. Oh, definitely one of our struggles. And that was kind of the driving force for us wanting to build a new facility get everything under one roof. But, like I said, I'm here for you guys. Anything you need, just ask. I'll come to New Jersey. I'd love to come to New Jersey. I don't know that I'm going to come in the winter. I might save it for the summer. You guys are close to the beach, so
we're right on the shore.
Yeah,
So.
I've been to a couple of shows out there when we used to do shows, and so I know when to come. But I think you guys are going to do great, and I'm rooting for you, and I hope you guys can go back home and share the gospel of Lean and get everybody moving the ball forward for you.
Can I leave us with one compliment for you guys?
Yeah, please.
It is the most incredible bathrooms I've ever seen. I just you don't really know until you're here. They are incredible. I've been to a lot of bathrooms in my life, right?
Yeah.
They are really, really nice. You guys do a really good job there.
Thank you.
I don't know any other way to say it, but I came back after you took us around and videoed the bathroom myself in detail to go back and show the guys, this is how we're doing our bathrooms.
Yeah. And you can totally do it. Yes. It's totally doable. It's just part of the process. And like I said, everything I have is available to you guys. So please just use me as a tool in any way I can to help your Lean journey like run off like mine has.
Seriously, thank you for introducing me to this, because I'm not really sure where I would be in a year from now, without this. I believe in it in that much. So
That's good.
thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You guys are both very
It's
welcome.
100% worth the trip. It's not so much the expense or whatever of coming out. It's being away from the shop for 2 days. It's hard, and we have picked up so much. It is worth every bit of the time, because now I have a great picture of what to go back and implement, and seeing the systems you've built.
So I'm going to give you guys one more challenge.
Okay.
I want you guys to go home and figure out by, let's say July. By July, can you guys strip a lot of the responsibilities that you have to standard work and empower other people to take on some of those responsibilities so that you guys have more opportunities to come to places like this and see what's going on? Then it's not the stress to go. Traveling for me to like Japan, to Germany, to Ohio, I'm going to go to Nashville in a couple weeks. Like, you have to do it, because the resources that you come up with when you do that, the networking, is so valuable. So I would just encourage you guys to really think about how do we take the things that are ahead and get them down in a way that other people can help. And then that'll free you guys up to be visionaries and move your business to the highest level that you never expected it to be.
So we should Zoom in July, right? And just follow up on that. I'm definitely down.
Why don't I just show up in June or July? What if I just show up?
Yeah.
I won't even tell you I'm coming. It'll be like,
I like it.
I'll walk up like, this is terrible. This is terrible. We got to start over.
No, zero garbage.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on my
Thank
show.
you, and you're always welcome.
And let's enjoy some hibachi tonight.
Oh, yeah.
That's becoming like our tradition. Anytime we have visitors, we take them out to a hibachi grill. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to go to hibachi.
Cool.
I love
And I'm sure we'll get a lot more time to talk. We shot a video as well, so we'll make sure that gets pieced together. And that one had some really profound questions that I thought you guys came up with. But once again, thank you. And thank you, everybody out there, for taking the time to listen to the Lean by Doing podcast. If you guys have any questions, or if there are topics that you would like me to cover, please just drop them in the comments and let me know. Everyone have a great day.